Hey boys and girls, now that you have your 4 designs created using negative space fonts and the mirror reflection technique, you're going to choose your favorite of the 4. So for me, I'm going to work with my calligraphy one. So the other 3 you can put away and off to the side. So with my design that I've chosen, I should have a side that is dark graphite and a side that is half dark graphite and half the ghost line images because of the graphite paper underneath. If you don't have that, then you need to make sure that you have at least a ghost image outline on the back here, so it makes it easier to trace. So you just lay this onto your graphite paper and trace over these letters again to make sure that you have that same information on the back. Okay? So you're going to use now one of your large 12 by 12 pieces of paper. You're going to take this piece of paper and we're going to fold it. So the first fold is along the diagonal. So I'm bringing corner to corner together, just like I did with the little squares. Okay. And I like to crease that. And then I'm going to open this up and I'm going to fold the opposite diagonal. So again, bringing corner to corner. And again, creasing. Now every time you create a fold, you always want to open this paper up because it is thicker drawing paper. And if you try to fold more than one fold at a time, it will off-center your folds because of the thickness of the paper. So now I have an X in my folds, and now I want to create a plus sign. So I'm going to fold it like we normally fold paper, left side to right side to left side, however you want to think of it. And again, I'll open it up. And then I need one more fold, bringing top to bottom or bottom to top. Or if you turn your paper left side to right side again. Okay. And that preps my paper for the next step. So as you can see here, I have 4 squares. These are called quadrants. And each quadrant is made up of 2 triangles. My next step is to now use this pattern within this large 12 by 12 square. So this is how I create the kaleidoscope. I'm going to choose a corner to be in the center at all times. So I like to lay mine down here and kind of look to see what it would possibly look like in a mirror reflection, and then I turn the other corner in. So notice I'm always lining up my diagonal fold to my diagonal fold here. So for mine, I think I like this corner in the center. Okay, so what I'm going to do to help me remember how to trace this is in my corner in the center here, I'm going to put an A, and on the back of that I'm going to put a B. Okay, so I need, for this to transfer over, I need heavy graphite down onto my plain paper. So my dark side here, side A, I'm going to put face down. So my B side is facing up. And I'm going to line up my square to the square of my 12 by 12. And once I have that, then I'm going to start tracing over my lines. So what I'm doing here is applying fresh graphite to this side of the design, and I'm forcing with the pressure the graphite on the other side onto my clean sheet of paper. And I'm going to trace both sides, both triangles. And I like to work from this corner out to the outer corner. And again, if I go off track, that's okay. I just get right back on track and keep on tracing. So once I'm done, before I move it entirely, I like to hold on to one side of the triangle and the other and lift it up. So when I do that, I can see if I missed anything. So I did intentionally not trace this, so you can see by doing that, if I have an area where I forgot to trace, then I can easily just lay it back down and trace over that. Okay, so now side B here has all the fresh graphite. So that means it's going to be nice and powdery and be able to lay down easily on a blank space. So I'm going to reflect this, and I'm going to physically pick up my square, flip it over. Now side A is facing up. The corner stays in the middle, and I'm going to line up my square to the 12 by 12 square, and again start the same process of tracing over. So what this does then is, now that I'm tracing with side A facing up, is now I'm putting down fresh graphite onto side A, so that when I am done with it, I can then flip it down so that B is facing up and put all this fresh graphite onto this side. So you will do that throughout the entire design. You'll move this, trace this, check it. Again, I never lift up any part of it completely. I hold on to at least one side of that square, one of the triangles, so that it's easy for me to line things back up if I miss something and need to retrace. Okay. And again, if I go off course, that's okay. Nothing is going to trace over if I go off course because there's no graphite back there. That's why I need to be on my lines when I trace, is so that I'm pressing that fresh powdery graphite onto that clean white paper surface. Then once again, before I lift this, I check, make sure I can see everything, make sure I traced everything. And now A side with all its fresh graphite is going to flip over and down. And now my B side is back up on top. I'm going to line up this square to my 12 by 12 square and again start the tracing again. So that when I am done, I am going to have a ghost outline of my design on my 12 by 12 paper. Okay. After this is done, I need to make this nice heavy dark graphite, and I need the ghost image on the back. So I'm going to pull out my piece of graphite paper again. And if I need to, I'll go back over top of it with a 6B pencil to make sure it's nice and powdery. And then I'm going to trace over this to make this ghost outline nice and dark. Now with this one, if we go off track, if we're off a line, we correct it, but remember we don't erase anything until after we've taken it off that graphite paper underneath. If you erase, all you're going to do is smush a bunch of that chalky graphite onto the back of this. Okay, so you can always correct things after. And you have a choice. You could go square by square. You can make sure you move this and follow one line completely throughout all of its reflections. I find it easier just to go square by square. That way I don't have to move that graphite paper around too much as I'm tracing. So just like before in our little practices, I'm putting nice heavy dark pencil on here. I'm getting my ghost outline on the back with that graphite paper underneath there. So I'm going to continue to trace over all that until I have heavy dark graphite all on one side and the ghost outline on the other side. Okay, So this is my folded 12 by 12. My next step is to then take another sheet of 12 by 12 paper, one without folds, so do not fold this one, and I'm going to now transfer this 12 by 12 design onto what is going to be your final project paper. So the final project has no folds on it. So what I like to do is lay the heavy graphite side down on my clean 12 by 12 sheet. I like to line it up, and then I like to put a couple pieces of tape on here. I forgot to grab my tape. And what I like to try to do is tear off small pieces. The less tape you have holding this design, the better, because tape can be sticky and it can tear paper. So by using little tiny pieces of tape, it'll be easier to remove later. Okay, so I just put a little tiny piece of tape there, and I'm also taping where I don't have any pencil lines at. Now if you can't tear off the tape from the dispenser in little pieces, then what I would suggest is that you tear off a piece and then take a pair of scissors and cut it down into smaller little pieces. And what the tape is going to do is prevent this from moving around as we're tracing. Plus, if I don't get to trace it all in one sitting, then it allows me to put it away and come back to it without having to line my designs back up. Okay. So once I have that taped, I can now start tracing. And since I don't have to worry about graphite paper under there, I do go ahead and trace all around my reflections. Okay, so again, if I go off my line, that's okay. I just get back onto it because I need to trace over the ghost line to make sure I'm pressing that darker graphite onto this clean, unfolded 12 by 12 piece of paper. And just like every other time, if I peek under here, let me untape a corner. If I peek under here, you can see it's leaving my ghost outline onto my unfolded piece of 12 by 12. So I'll keep on doing that until I have my entire design on this unfolded piece of 12 by 12 paper. Okay, if you get any pencil smudges or anything like that, that's okay. We can clean that up at the end. And then my final step in tracing is to take the ultra fine Sharpie. So the ultra fine one has the flat cap and the flat back end. The fine point one has a curved cap and a curved back end. So I'm going to use the ultra fine one, and I am going to carefully trace over my light pencil lines. So I definitely move this around so I can see where that Sharpie is traveling, because once Sharpie marker is on a piece of paper, it's not coming off. So make sure you stop, pick up your Sharpie, move your paper so that your hand is comfortable and that you can see the pencil line you're tracing at all times. And you would keep on doing that until you have your op art design on the unfolded piece of paper completely traced in Sharpie. That is then preparing this piece of paper for our last stage, which will be adding pattern, talking about contrast, and finishing up our op art work.